What's going on, Hive Warriors? It's your boy Edward V, and today we're going to talk about how to burn fat fast in your first week of intermittent fasting. One thing I hear a lot about people who are trying to do intermittent fasting for the first time is, am I going to see any benefits? And I know that the benefits that they're talking about is weight loss, and more specifically, fat loss. And there's certain things that you can do to see a good amount of weight loss in the first week. Now, keep in mind, as you reduce your body fat, it will get harder and harder for you to lose weight. But if you're going to jump into intermittent fasting for the first time and you want to see how effective it can be for the first week, I'm going to give you some tips so that you can see some positive results right off the bat. Stay tuned. Now, for this to work, you have to tackle the hormonal and biological parts of it, but you also have to tackle the mental part of it. So I'm going to give you the best structure because you're starting for the first time. It is your first week. So the best structure to utilize so that you can see the best results, but also maintain your sanity in terms of switching over from not doing intermittent fasting to doing intermittent fasting is the warrior diet. Now, hear me out. The warrior diet consists of fasting for 20 hours and feeding for 4 hours. So for 4 hours, you're eating. For 20 hours, you're fasting every single day. Now, I've always said that the best entry-level fasting system is the 16-8, where you fast for 16 hours and feed for 8 hours. Now, if you want to punch through the wall and get the most effective results when you first start so that you can get that motivation, you want to start off with the 24. It's not as demanding as the OMAD, which is eating 1 meal a day, which is essentially 23 hours of fasting with 1 hour of eating. And it also isn't as easy of a transition as the 16-8 provides. It's right smack down in the middle. It's not too hard and it's not too easy, but it gives you that opportunity to fast for a great amount of time for someone who has not done intermittent fasting ever before. Trust me, if you enter using the warrior diet, 20 hours fasting, 4 hours eating, you will see great benefits for your first week, especially if you've never done intermittent fasting ever before, because it will give you that baseline insulin for a good amount of time. And remember, you'll start tackling the body fat from about 8 to 12 hours of not eating, so you're giving yourself a good baseline to start with if you start with 20 versus 4. Now, bouncing off of that tip, you do want to eat midday. And I know that everyone has different schedules and what have you, but what you want to do is you want to pick a time frame where it's not too far away from when you're waking up and starting your day, and also not too far away from when you're about to go to sleep. Remember, sleeping counts, and sleeping is usually about 8 hours. That counts into the number of fasting hours. If you're sleeping for 8 hours, that gives you 12 hours that you can split between the times when you eat. So your conscious mind will only feel a few hours before going into the feeding period and then just a few hours before going to sleep. Trust me, this can help you a lot. So strategically putting it in midday, for example, 2:30, you wake up, let's say at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock. Then you only have 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, and then at 2:30 you eat. That's only 7 hours away. Once you eat during that time, you can eat from 2:30 all the way up to 6:30. Then you stop eating at 6:30, about 4 to 5 or to 6 hours to go to sleep. Then you're unconscious. Obviously, you're not noticing if you're hungry or not, or if you're focusing on food. You're asleep. You're not aware of these things. You're shortening the time based on your conscious hours when you're actually awake, and you're splitting the difference. So you're full going into that fast, and then you're just holding off for a few hours going into the feeding window. It's a great strategy to give you that rhythm, especially if you're starting for the first time, your first week, and you're entering doing the 20 versus 4 as opposed to 16 hours versus 8. Now, moving on from that, you also want to go ahead and add some exercise. Cardio and strength training will help because it will start to use quick energy. So if you're fasting and you're working out, your body's going to try to deplete the glycogen as quickly as possible, which then in turn brings your insulin down faster. So you get into that fat burning state much faster because your body's depleting itself of glycogen. Remember, glycogen is the fast energy. If you're running, if you're doing strength training, if you're exerting a lot of energy, your body will tap into those sources immediately and move it through your body faster, thus forcing your body quicker into the state where it has to use body fat for energy. This is essentially what you want to do. You're trying to burn fat fast in your first week of intermittent fasting. So throwing in exercise will definitely assist you in getting that goal. Another thing you want to do, and this kind of works in two ways, is also just to keep your body healthy and also to give yourself that motivation. One thing that a lot of people struggle with is what they see on the scale. I'm a proponent of not focusing so much on the scale or barely at all, because body fat composition is what matters, and it takes a lot of body fat for you to see even a pound movement on the scale. So what you want to do is you want to stay hydrated. And the reason you want to stay hydrated is because when you fast and you don't drink water, you don't stay hydrated, your body will look at this as not only are you not eating, but you're also not drinking. So we'll hold on to water. So if you're drinking water consistently, you can drink water throughout the entire time when you're fasting, when you're eating, it does not matter. It carries no calories, energy sources to be metabolized in the body, thus not increasing your insulin at all. So you will remain in a fasted state. But when you drink water, your body releases water. Your body releases more water. You can tell if you're drinking adequate water because if you urinate, for example, and it's dark, you're not drinking adequate water. But if you urinate and it's light, you are drinking a good amount of water. So keep drinking water because this will reveal your actual weight on the scale and get closer to your actual progress. The water weight fluctuation going up and down, it can actually demotivate you because you're seeing your weight go up. For example, you're doing everything right and on day 5 your weight goes up because you held on to so much water the day before. Now you're up 3 pounds and you don't understand why. But the fluctuation in weight, the quick fluctuation, comes from water. So drink a lot of water, stay hydrated, flush that water out so you can not only be motivated, stay healthy, but get closer to what your actual body weight is. And I want to add an extra additional tip that you can or cannot use. It's up to you. Doing the intermittent fasting 24 is already difficult. I do normally recommend for one to throw in the keto diet, as consuming less glucose will help your body go into that insulin much faster by implementing both intermittent fasting and the keto diet. But I want you to gauge your own tolerance. If this is your first week of intermittent fasting and you're not doing the 16-8, you're doing the 24, that in and of itself might be already a big task for you. If it is, then don't worry about putting in the keto diet, just focus on the fasting. Fasting alone can get you into that body fat burning mode. Implementing the keto diet, however, can give you a more sustained fat burning mode even through the times when you're eating because you're not consuming enough glucose. Thus, your insulin won't go up as high and it'll drop to baseline much faster, getting you into that fat burning fasted state much quicker. But try to focus on what's the easiest path for you. If it's too difficult for you, if you feel that it might be too much of a stress on top of your shoulders to not only do this fasting thing for the first time and do it at 20 versus 4, but also do the keto diet, then don't worry about the keto diet. Just focus on the 20 versus 4. Now remember, this is just for your first week so that you can see the effectiveness of intermittent fasting and how much it works. I want you to make sure that you're taking pictures of your body from day 1 to day 7 so that you can see the changes. Remember, the scale is not always going to tell you the full story, but if you want a better understanding of your weight, make sure to always stay hydrated. And I want to thank my patrons from my Patreon, and I'm going to put their name